Congratulations! It's incredible to be here, representing my mob. I love a proud Aboriginal man, proud Gamilaroi boy. Yeah, I love it. I know blackfellas, right? I say blackfellas. I know that my skin's Indian, and it doesn't make sense, right? Because here's the thing: my mum, blackfella, like she's Aboriginal. My dad, Aboriginal, yeah. But my mum's dad was a white fella, right? So that's like me ordering a long black. Dash of milk, butter chicken. What the fuck? Doesn't make sense. And I researched this, right? And apparently you do get your skin colour through your mum's side, right? Hereditary, so the melanin comes through. But here's the thing: the blackest part of me, right? The weapon, right? He black, like he looked like a little police baton, you know, like he... But that doesn't make sense, because my granddad on mum's side is white, right? So somehow I got Nan's dick. What the fuck? I went on tour last year. I am an international comedian now. I went with the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and we went to India. The mother country, and I went with another comedian. Her name's Alex Ward, brilliant comedian, and our tour manager, Gideon, right, both white fellas. And it didn't even start in their country. It started on the plane, because I left this country a proud Gamilaroi man, yeah? And as soon as I stood on the plane, I'm now Punjabi. What the fuck? Because we got on the plane, and Alex and Gideon are sitting in front of me. I'm sitting next to an elderly Indian man, and he didn't speak English, right? Because when the air host came down with his trolley, right, he knew Sprite, because he said, "Would you like anything?" And he said, "Sprite." And then he said, "We don't have Sprite, but we do have lemonade." And he had no idea what the fuck he just said. So then he spoke to him in Hindi. And then he looked at me and said, "What did he say?" I don't know. I'm Australian. I'm more Australian than you, dickhead. What the fuck? We toured India. It was absolutely incredible. But here's the thing. Indian people, they were looking at me because I'm walking around with these two white fellas. I'm no longer a comedian. I'm now their cultural advisor. And they're looking at me like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah." Because this bunch of Indian guys came up and they were like, "Oh, can we take a photo with your white people?" And I'm like, "What? No. Get your own white people." And then we had Alex. She came out right during the show, and she's just like, "It's my first time in India." And all the Indian people, they're clapping, and they're like, "Welcome to India." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So I walked out, and I was like, "Hi, everyone. It's my first time in India." And they all just crossed their arms. And this elderly Indian lady in the front just went, "That makes you a bad Indian boy." Like, I'm not Indian. And that was the biggest laugh I got in India. Thank you so much, you absolute legend.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Screen Watching Interviews. I'm Simon Foster. He's travelled the world selling out gigs from his hometown in Wagga Wagga to festival halls in Edinburgh. TV is desperate for new heroes, so they started hurling wads of rolled up cash at him. First Paramount Plus to get a slice of his hit DIDGERIDOOZY show. Then the ABC, where you can now see him in, settle in, here's the title, 2023 Melbourne International Comedy Festival opening night all-star super show. Just rolls off the tongue. It's now on iView. He also props up the ABC FM local drive show every Friday here in New South Wales, although, to be fair, most of the listeners are really only there for the film reviewer. Welcome to Screen Watching, Dane Simpson, my old friend.
Yay!
Yay!
Welcome. Thank you.
It's good to finally chat with you. I should point out to the listeners that for the best part of the last 2 years, we've caught up weekly for about 15 minutes on the radio, but this is really the first time we've been able to have a chat without the girls dragging us down.
Yeah, like a proper yarn, a good old How often are you doing this? How often do you do your screen watching?
Screen watching podcast is a weekly thing. It goes out across all the podcast platforms, and when I can get some interview talent like yourselves, we also put it out on our YouTube channel. So easy to find. So I'm very excited to be able to chat with you. Where are we talking to you from?
I'm in Melbourne at the moment with the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Normally I'm in Wagga Wagga, country New South Wales. But yeah. I'm here doing my show. Always was, always will be funny.
Funny, so. Exactly. It's a great opener, mate. All right, let's do this whole sort of chit chat thing where we get to know you a bit. I always like asking comedians that first gig memory, because I always put it down to sort of like losing your virginity. You're always terrified about when it's going to happen, and when it does, it's all a blur and it's over too quickly. Is that kind of what the first gig memories are like?
The first gig. I will always remember it. The reason why is because that's what obviously got me into comedy. That's what got me. I went in Outback New South Wales to a place called Narrabri. A comedian, Kevin Crapinery, took me out there. I was the tech, so I looked after all the audio and lighting and stuff. And when we're in the driving around in the car, he said, "That's funny," or like a funny story. We're just going back and forth, and then he's like, "You should open for me tonight. Tell that story." Wow. And then we got side of stage. Now in the car, absolutely keen. A superstar already in my mind. And then side of stage, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And then he physically pushed me out on stage, and I grabbed the mic and did my joke. I got a laugh. That was it.
So there was never any sort of burning desire within you to do this. I mean, you were teching for him, so I guess you were part of his scene a bit, and it hadn't grabbed you until that moment. That's amazing.
It's well, and I think it was just like I didn't know that spinning yarns was a way of lifestyle. Like I didn't know that you could make money from it or entertain people. I thought it was just like genuinely being at the pub or sitting around dinner and you just share this story. I didn't know that you could actually make money from it.
Is that a budgery guy? Is that a canary? What are you doing?
It's my phone.
That's all right. No worry, we'll push.
There we go.
Are you a student of comedy? Like, do you look to other comedians? Do you have those that inspire you that you base rhythms on, or you study their videos to see how they do what they do, or are you just a seat of the pants kind of guy who gets up there and tells his stories?
Yeah, I'm a student, I would say, but that's by mistake. I just love comedy. I'll watch everyone's, especially being here at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Like I'll go and watch at least 2 or 3 shows a night, checking out what other people are doing. Loving different types of styles of comedy and seeing people get a laugh out of like some weird concept that they've come up with. I love that. I think it's so much fun. And so accidentally a student of comedy though. So I'll go and I'm just accidentally learning, but I'm genuinely loving it. I'm genuinely super interested in comedy, and I think it's one of those really unspoken things, but if there's somebody who's very good at comedy, I want to be their friend. Like I really want to be around them. I'm like, oh, you're good. Hey, talk to me. How does your brain work, sort of thing?
Yeah, you hear about, and I'm a fan of comedy. I'm a fan of sort of that 70s and 80s comedy scene in the US, where obviously Robin Williams and Jerry Seinfeld came from. But you talk to people like Mark Maron and all that SNL crew about what it's like getting a gig at the Comedy Store or getting a gig at the Chuckle Factory in Canada or places like that. And given that first break, seeing those that inspire you, it sounds like like a tight knit community, not just in terms of the joined spirits that you all are, but also in learning and making your craft better as well.
Yeah, I think that. I think also like there's so many people getting into comedy. So sometimes you do need to weed out people who like this club that we run. It might be you need to be of a certain level. And the thing is, and this is what sucks about comedy, is that yourself, you don't know what level you are.
Okay.
You feel great, um, but then you're not, and then the only way to really work that out is on stage. But you want to do these amazing gigs. You think, yeah, no, I'm ready, but you just certainly aren't. It sucks. You, especially when you first start off, you're like, I'm great, and you are not. It's so weird.
But my auntie thought this is really funny. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, the boys at the pub loved this one.
Yeah, exactly. I want to ask, taking the didgeridoozy stuff on the road, yes, probably kills in the hometown and around Australia, but what did the Scots and what did the Indians think of it? Was there many changes you had to make to it, or did it travel well?
So Didgeridoozy as a whole hour show, I'm going to be doing this year at Edinburgh. But I did do bits and pieces last year when I went for the first time, and I did do bits and pieces when I was in India.
Okay.
Yeah, it is great. There is a lot of stuff that I do need to change and slowly work out. I talk about this so often, but the best example is in Australia. We have texters, and I do a joke about myself not being dark enough, not dark as the rest of my family. I've got the lightest skin, and my dad teases me and says that I look like the texter ran out of color. And in the UK, they don't know what a texter is, and it was weird to do the bit and not get a laugh because it's almost like a staple. Like I know that gets a laugh, and then one of the people from the audience who lived in Australia said, "Oh, in the UK we don't know what a texter is.
Yeah.
I do know one because I lived in Australia. You're better off saying Sharpie, felt tip." And then gave me a list of examples. And then I just started doing them each night. I changed the punchline, and felt tip was the one that ended up getting the biggest laugh. So that's what I've been what I've stayed with when I go to the UK. But like, yeah, it's just these little things. And, and I always find this is a really good example. J.K. Rowling wrote a book, Harry Potter, and he's a magical kid, and he's a wizard and all this stuff. So she writes the story. You don't have to be a wizard, and you don't have to be cousins or know of a wizard growing up.
Yeah.
She already just prefaces the story for you and the world, and then invites you in. So then you start to be. So I find when I'm doing my show, like you don't have to be Australian or Aboriginal or any type of like indigenous culture. I just sort of preference it. I invite you into the world. So I try and describe it, but as quickly as possible because we only have an hour. So
yeah.
I can't really like get into many details. I need you to sort of already be on board. There's a few things, particularly in India, where there's a class system that they have, and I can't change that, and I can't. I was talking about me and my dad going fishing, and they found that very rude that I would go fishing when somebody of where I am on the hierarchy, I should be buying fish from the fishermen. It's rude of me to not go fishing. Yeah, it's rude of me to go fishing. I should not go fishing. I should be supporting the how that system works.
Okay.
Almost a trickle down economy in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's that type of stuff where I really struggled. And I ended up just dumping stories about me going fishing and just started sort of just talking about India and my experiences that I found interesting about their culture. And then, they started to get on board with that.
Proud First Nations man, proud First Nations heritage. when you decided to do stand-up, how did you craft your act to embrace that? When did you decide I'm going to go this way in talking about my heritage? Am I going to be the angry black man, sort of Richard Pryor type comedy where I become really sort of in your face? Or am I going to go, I'm going to change minds or change hearts softly? Finding your style when dealing with that kind of comedic content. Tell us about getting to that point.
Yeah, I try to do like mainstream comedy. Like I just try to be just an Australian comedian, like just a comedian, realistically. But I just can't help it but put like this blackfella flavor through everything that I do, and it's just because that's how I grew up. That's who I am as a person. And there's so many rules in comedy that you abide by. So you go that punching up, punching down, that type of style is what I like in a comic. And then there's rules. I break rules because realistically, you should be getting to the punchline ASAP. But I love a good yarn. Like I grew up spinning stories, spinning yarns, and that's just something that I just stumbled upon starting to do.
Yep.
And then that's what makes me unique in what I do is that I break that rule of slowing down and my mate from the UK, Brennan Reese, and he said, you live in a country town, you don't have open mics, so how do you practice a gag? And I'm like, oh, sometimes I'm just at the pub with my mate and I'll just slip in a little gag just to be silly. And he said, I knew that. I could absolutely tell because when you're on stage, I just feel like I'm at the pub with a friend and you're just spinning a story.
Yep.
And then, I think the sneaky little lessons and stuff that I try to put in my show is me just feeling like I've got an hour, I've got the microphone, I've got this spotlight on me. I want to express something about me. I want to get across something that I believe in. And then that's it comes across in the new show. I talk a lot about the changing the date or abolishing the date of Australia Day, and just things that I sort of believe in, but I want to give reasons why. Like I want to know, and I also want to talk about solutions. In the Didgeridoozy show, I wanted to get across a little bit of my culture, me growing up, a proud Gamilaroi man. I really wanted to have my audiences sort of experience how I grew up and these characters that are in my life. Particularly my dad, who's just an idiot, and I love that. I think he's so stupidly fun.
You as we record this, there's a lot of talk about the referendum. You were saying to me before the podcast how much you admire Peter Dutton and support what he's doing. I'm joking. I'm joking. Do you want to weigh in on this point, or does that date the interview, I guess, maybe, and give us some sort of insight into your thoughts?
Yeah, I like we've got the Voice to Parliament coming up, which I feel as though it's just a very straightforward thing. I don't know the argument against it. It's written on the packaging, a voice to Parliament. It's just giving Aboriginal people or Indigenous people a voice to Parliament with things that include them. There's obviously been some absolutely horrific things happening in the past to affect Aboriginal people, and they weren't consulted with. So I doubt. This could be controversial, but I doubt that the stolen generation would have taken place if somebody consulted an Aboriginal person. So it's this type of stuff that I think is like really important, and like, it's very straightforward. I find it to be like mirroring the Black Lives Matter campaign.
Yeah,
and all it was just people saying that Black Lives Matter, and there was pushback on that. That blows my mind. It wasn't even like Black lives are important and we need to, like, it's just matter.
Yeah.
That's just a simple. So I find it to be, it's written on the packaging what it says. It's a voice to Parliament. It's something that should be really important. I don't know why it's not going through. It feels weird that people would go, we need more information. I don't think you do.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it's
been
there.
dangerous.
Done.
It's been dangerously politicized, and a lot of the
Yeah,
intent of it has gone out in the name of politics. And I think that's a terribly sad thing. But let's all vote yes if you haven't already. Fingers
absolutely.
crossed that it goes through. I want to talk about your Melbourne International Comedy Festival experience. When all you comedians get together,
Yeah.
is it? Is it like that old sort of school camp atmosphere where things just go crazy and all minds are working? Is there one sort of pushed off? Oh, I tell you what, because nobody is ever going to see this. Who's the one comedian you don't like? Come on, no one's going to see it. And you know what? You're thinking of it right now. I can tell.
Yeah. There's one, you have nailed it. It is school camp. It is fun. It is so cool. Everyone is in together. Comedians, I love most of the comedians.
I'm joking. Please don't tell me who the bad ones are. Please don't say that.
I could bash Luke Heggie if that's what you want to go with it.
Well, you wouldn't be the first.
It's what's really funny is I wrote a tweet about that. Is that I just said I'm at and I tagged Melbourne International Comedy Festival, just writing a list of comedians I could bash. One, Luke Heggie, the end. And and it went through this open mic scene in Sydney. They're like, "Oh my God, Dane Simpson hates Luke Heggie," and I'm like, "We're very good friends."
Calm down, everybody.
Yeah, it's so silly. But I love this beef. I love the 2-pack of Biggie beef that me and Luke have, but we're very close, which is crazy.
All right, finally, let's face it, you're getting old. Life after stand-up, acting, writing, community roles. What have you got planned? Where's when I interview in 10 years' time? What are we going to be talking about?
Yeah, that's great. So just getting into script writing, getting into a little bit of acting, doing that zombie movie that we were talking about previously. There's another movie in the works called DIDGERIDOOZY that I'm going to be doing. Oh, nice.
I know that's quality podcasting. That is. I just lost my laptop. Go
on. A movie called DIDGERIDOOZY that we're working on. Hopefully, going to be filming towards the end of 2023. I'm really excited to be doing all these new projects. So, stand-up comedy is amazing, and it has been for the past couple of years. But really getting into script writing, punching up some scripts for video games, which I've just been working on Enchanted, and then which is absolutely just incredible. That's so much fun. They're releasing the game very soon. There is little bits and pieces of it out now. I've seen on Twitter. What a cool, exciting world the arts is, and obviously working for ABC is a big part of it too. Doing the radio every week. It's really fun. So things that I'd never ever considered that I could ever do, like growing up in Wagga Wagga, you just go to work, come home, that's your career.
Yeah.
Never thought that I'd go to Edinburgh. Never thought that I'd go to India and do like comedy shows. Never thought that I'd work on a video game. They're like, what a crazy world we're getting into. So yeah, it's really fun for me.
Mate, you're a gentleman. You're a humble man, and it's a joy being able to talk to you each week. And they use the term overnight sensation, but I know you've been working hard at it for a long time, so I don't want to say that. But you've become very popular very quickly, and I'm thrilled that you've been able to do our little show here. So we're going to go and do this radio show, so we better get going. But thank you for talking to us, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. You're an absolute legend.
Okay, mate.